Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Modern Cave Woman Show. So, today's topic is staying present, living in the moment, staying in the present moment. And it's such a big topic in personal development because it's one of the ways that we can help alleviate things like anxiety and stress and create more creative energy and, living on purpose and feeling centered and grounded instead of feeling maybe like we're just running amok or that we're just going through the motions every day, bringing our actual intention and our attention back to where we're really wanting to create something in our life. Does that make sense? But one thing that I've wrestled with this concept is that it's kind of fuzzy because in order to create the present, we often have to look toward the past and kind of time travel to the past of experiences where we've learned lessons and what's the lesson we've learned, or looking at patterns in our life and what kind of patterns and habits we have that aren't serving us in the present moment and won't be serving us in the future that we're trying to create. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we're traveling toward the future that we want to create, right? And we're looking down the road at the things we want to do, our goals, our accomplishments, what's coming, right? Like Thanksgiving is in 5 months. How am I going to do all the things I want to do for that? So we kind of time travel with our attention and our mind. And when we're doing that, we don't always have the awareness that it's happening because it is something so natural, right? It's so natural to have those little. And I think not for everyone. So let me know if you're the exception to the rule on this. So not everyone is always kind of traveling to what am I doing in the future 6 months from now, or what happened a couple years ago that I'm still rolling over in my mind and wish I would have said something different, or how could I have done that differently? You know what I mean? That sometimes even I'll have a flash of like, oh, so many years ago, this thing happened and I'm still embarrassed, right? My cheeks will still get hot and my stomach will kind of drop like, oh, that was such a embarrassing experience or something. And I'm always like, where did that come from? Like, why am I ruminating on that again? Something that I felt like was closed. And so I always give myself a little grace on these things, by the way. I figure there must have been some little thread that still needed to be processed, and that's fine. Or there's some little tendril of it in what I'm working on in this present moment that needed to kind of come up to keep me on track with my goals now. So, in order to make this a more tangible concept of staying present and staying in the moment so that I could be really aware of when I need to bring my attention back to where I'm at and where am I at, I decided to just draw a box around this that I come back to today and tomorrow. I give myself that grace to time travel a little bit into tomorrow because I want to know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, right? Like I have a goal or something I want to do tomorrow, and I don't want to wake up and just be floundering around trying to figure out what's going on and where I'm going and what I'm doing. I want to have some kind of structure. And of course, today, I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer, right? Like we all kind of know, like today is the present moment. What we're doing today is where we're at, right? And I thought I would pass that on to you today because you get to decide. You get to decide what you think of as the present. It could include yesterday, right? If you're working on a project over time, it could be that time frame, a larger time frame that you would consider being in the present because it's tied to a specific goal or outcome or process or project or whatever you're doing, right? Does that make sense? So this isn't like a hard and fast rule. This is just my suggestion that if you've ever sat there and been like, yeah, I really like the concept of living in the moment and staying in the present. And yeah, maybe I have this inner cave woman who's always there, right? She's so in tune with nature, and I want to be the kind of woman who eats healthy foods because it's just instinctive. And I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm not. And I go for a walk when I need a walk. And I sleep when I'm tired. And I laugh and I dance and I hug my family whenever whenever it comes up, right? Whenever I'm in the moment, having fun and living life and feeling on purpose and, you know, vibing with what's really natural. That's what I always think of as my inner cave woman. Like, she just knows deep in my soul, I just know how to live, right? Like, we don't come with a manual, we just do this thing called life. But then, of course, we are in a modern society and we're modern women. And so, the modern side of it is that we have schedules, we have calendars, we maybe have a job where we have a boss or a corporation, whatever, telling us, here's your schedule. We need to have meetings at these different times, which may not necessarily coincide with what our inner cave woman wants to do, right? Like, maybe we don't really love that 8 to 5 schedule. Or even if you work for yourself, you may have clients that are dictating deadlines and milestones to you, right? That you are accountable to them for certain things. Or just in general in society, it's like store hours are from, 6 to 9. And if you want to get something at the store, you'd better go during that schedule time, whether it's coinciding with your natural rhythms or not, or else you're out of luck, right? They close the doors and you have to wait. So I think we kind of deal with all of those kind of things in modern society that actually do take us out of the moment because we're thinking about, what do I have to do for my job next week, next month, or the holidays, right? Thanksgiving is coming up in 6 months. What do I have to do for that? And it's not necessarily just flowing along with daily life. We have to plan and send some of our energy out to different time frames. And I think that's natural. I think that's okay. And I'll give you my tip for kind of managing that is that I put those things in the calendar. Maybe I reverse engineer them a little bit. So I'll use Thanksgiving as an example because it's a few months out. So I'm not going to spend a lot of energy on that, right? Like, that is not my focus of today or tomorrow. And yet, I know that it will be a focus of today or tomorrow, probably, right? Like, anything can happen, of course, between now and then, but I'm hopeful that things will still be fairly constant. And so I put that in my calendar, right? It's like, okay, here's Thanksgiving on this Thursday in November. So a week beforehand, I'm going to put in my calendar that I need to get whatever supplies I need to do for that. And maybe a couple weeks earlier, I need to invite whoever I want to invite over for, celebrating, or put into my calendar to decide where I'm going to be to celebrate, right? My friends and family, who do I want to spend that time with? And then I'm going to kind of leave it, right? And there might be more little milestones that I need to put in my calendar. And then when I get there, right, when it's tomorrow, I need to decide where I'm going to spend Thanksgiving out there in maybe, November. That will be my present moment. Does that make sense? That then is when I will spend my time and energy. And until then, until that day that I have decided is the day that I need to figure this out, if I'm tempted to wander, if I accidentally send a satellite of energy out there to Thanksgiving to think about Thanksgiving, unless it's actually useful, unless I actually do need to, consider some facet of that event, I'm going to grab that energy and pull it back and be like, it is not tomorrow. We are working on what we have to do today or tomorrow. So there is just my tip and trick of how I figured out how to kind of make this a more tangible process for me. I think I already said that. But, to solidify this, like, what in the world does it mean to live in the moment? And how do you actually do that in a modern world, right? Like, you can't just be running around. And you know what? I'm going to take that back. You can, right? I think there are people who just flow with life and they do what comes at them in real time, if that makes sense, right? They're not actually planning things and they're not wallowing in the past or trying to process the past and deal with past traumas and things. Like, they're just here right now. What's happening right now? I'm managing what's happening right now. I'm creating my life right now. I'm being happy with whatever there is right now, right? And those people are unique, in my opinion. I think they're unique because I feel like the rest of us fall into, again, that category of we've got schedules and structures and, people dictating things to us that take us out of that natural rhythm and flow. And also, can you imagine the chaos if every single person was just running around doing whatever felt good at that very second, right? Like, it would be quite a lot of chaos, probably, I imagine. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that we are dealing with time and space in a certain way, how we are. So that's my disclaimer, I guess, at the end. I'm a little philosophical about it. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know if this landed with you or if it's a point of friction for you, because I do know sometimes we listen to other people's ideas about a concept or a philosophy or a practice, like something practical that they do, and it actually causes a point of friction where we're like, no, that didn't make any sense. That doesn't work for me. I hated that. And I actually love leaning into those moments because that is truly when you start to know yourself at an even deeper level. And I feel like that's why we're not here doing life alone. I feel like that's why part of the reason, at least, why we do have other people here on earth with us, so that if something they say doesn't make sense, right, we can process that on our own and go, okay, so what does make sense for me, right? What does work for me? So I would love to hear that. That's why I always encourage negative feedback as well. Tell me where I'm wrong, because I think those conversations are really where the juiciness is. If you always agree with everything someone says or you just follow along blindly, which there might be a time and place for that, of course, but I always feel like if you're just kind of following the flow of everyone else, how do you even know who you are? And that's a topic for another day. So have a beautiful week, whether you're scheduled out of your mind or you're able to find pockets of time to flow with your inner cave woman who just flows with the moment and knows what to do in every situation. Or, if you're modernized and have to do what your boss says on time. Either way, I hope that it's beautiful and you find some happiness and some purpose all week long. So I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.